Overtime!
Hey, I'm Charlie. Today on Overtime Arcade, we're going to pick up a broken classic arcade game and get it working again in just one episode. That's right, none of this 15-part in-depth restoration series. We're going to do everything we need to do to get this game working again completely in just one video. So I talk to people all the time that really want to get into collecting classic arcade video games like I've got here, but they think it's way too expensive and way too much work. And I try to tell people, if you buy broken games, you can usually get them for really, really cheaply, sometimes even free. And you know, if you've got a little bit of know-how and you're willing to put in a little bit of effort, it's often really easy to get these things working again, right? And that's part of what I try to show on this channel, that it's possible for basically anyone to do that. So I'm always on the lookout for, you know, cheap broken games that I can fix up and add to my lineup. And I've mentioned before that I've got this buddy Mark. He owns a shop called Back to the Media in Winchester, Virginia, and he sells used video games and vinyl records and that kind of stuff. And he's currently building a classic arcade in his back room. So he's been buying all of these games. I've been helping him fix them up a little bit. And he's got a bunch of wanted ads posted on Facebook and elsewhere, you know, sort of telling people, hey, if you've got games, I want to buy them. Pinball, arcade, whatever. And sometimes, you know, if there's something that comes along that he's not interested in, he passes it along to me, and it's awesome. And I really appreciate Mark for doing that. That's how I got my depth charge. And that's how I got the game that we're going to be looking at today. So somebody responded to Mark's wanted ad, and they've got, I guess it was their elderly parents had a broken game in their basement that they were looking to get rid of. And you know, it wasn't something that was on Mark's wanted list, and maybe not something that would do great in a public, you know, arcade, a public location. So he passed it along to me, talked to the seller, and they only wanted $100 for it, and it's great. I'll show a picture of it right here. This is Sega Carnival. So this is a Sega Gremlin game released in 1980, really kind of an early color game. And it's sort of a bit like Space Invaders or Galaxian, but definitely with a unique and interesting theme where instead of being set in outer space and you're shooting space aliens, it's essentially a carnival shooting gallery, and you're shooting, you know, targets of ducks and bears and rabbits and whatever. So really kind of a fun game, and I got, you know, a bit exposed to it kind of for the first time recently when I was at Jeff Kinder's party up in New Jersey. He's got a beautiful Sega Carnival that I had a lot of fun playing. So I'm really excited to go grab this game, bring it home, fix it up. We're going to do all of this in one episode, and hopefully by the end, hopefully we'll have a working Sega Carnival. So why don't we hop in the truck, head up to Maryland, and grab this thing. Let's go! Okay, there we go. We got the game. It is loaded on the truck. I just have to throw my bungee net on to make sure that the tarp doesn't blow away, because we are about to get rocked by a storm. You can't even see a storm in the sky. But yeah, really happy. Seller was super nice guy. I guess he's had this game for maybe 25 years, perhaps longer, maybe 30. And you know, it stopped working once, and he was able to fix it, just some loose wiring. And it stopped working again maybe 5 years ago, and he wasn't able to get it going again, but we'll get this puppy working. Brand, I'm super out of breath. We'll get it working good as new in no time, and added to the lineup. So why don't we head back on the road and get this thing home. All right, made it home in one piece, and fortunately that rainstorm was really intense, but didn't last very long, and the rest of the drive home was smooth sailing. nice and dry. So yeah, let's get this cabinet off the truck and into the garage. Okay, we made it home safe and sound. I got Carnival off the truck. And yeah, even though it was beautiful, sunny for 95% of that drive home, we got blasted by a thunderstorm for a little bit. So I am very glad that I wrapped this with the stretch wrap and then had the tarps on and all that stuff. So, because this cabinet looks to be in very, very good shape, and I wouldn't want anything to happen to it on the way home. So hopefully we can get this thing working pretty quickly. Like I mentioned, you know, the seller said it had stopped working, you know, once, and he said it was some sort of loose wiring in the coin door. I don't know what that could be. So I don't think it has a interlock switch in the coin door or anything like that. And then about 5 years ago, it stopped working again for the second time, and he wasn't able to get it going again. So hopefully it's something simple. Like I said, this cabinet is absolutely gorgeous. Probably one of the better looking cabinets that I've obtained. So hopefully the inside matches the outside. I took a quick look when I was at the seller's house just to make sure that everything was there, and it looked great. But yeah, here we go. Carnival by Gremlin / Sega. I think by this point, Sega had acquired Gremlin outright instead of just using them as their US distributor. We've got the cardboard bezel in there. Looks like it's been shifted a little bit, so we'll have to get that sort of remounted appropriately. A little bit of burn on the screen, but not too bad. It looks like Carnival burn. Control panel's pretty good. CPO has a little bit of wear, you know, kind of normally where you would have your wrists or palms, but yep. And we've got our Japanese style coin door. There's a couple of screw holes right here. I'm not sure if that was a cup holder at some point or something like that. Yeah, edge of the bottom of the cabinet, you know, tiny bit of chipping at the edge, but not so bad at all. And this is the version of Carnival that had the wood grain vinyl on the sides. There was another version that had white paint or white laminate or something, and had a side art decal, but this is just the wood grain version. And we've got a sticker here on the back for Gremlin Industries in San Diego, serial number 29494, and it looks like a hand-corrected model number of 700-0023. So looking pretty good. I do have the keys for it, which is great. This side looks pretty good too, all around. It just needs a light cleaning and we should be in great shape. Really, really, really terrific condition. Let me grab the keys actually. Okay, and I got them right here. And they have a keychain from, let's see, Home Amusement Company Incorporated from Rockville, Maryland, which is not too far from where I got this. And the fact that it doesn't have an area code listed on the phone number makes me think that, you know, this is maybe, you know, the company that he bought, the seller bought the cabinet from. Let's see if we can figure out which one of these keys goes to the coin door. There we go. I think this is it. Okay, what do we got going on in here? We have our coin mechs, and I think I see coin switches. A little bit janky. We've got some sort of interface board or something here. The coin counter has 25,927. So we'll ask Professor Pac-Man to do that math for us. We've got an on and off switch inside right here, and I'm guessing this is some sort of test switch. And that's, I don't know what that dust is sort of jumping. You can kind of see it. I hope it's not mold. I doubt it though, given the condition of this cabinet. I guess this is an on-off switch, and volume right there. Yeah, I don't know what this interface board is right here. Looks like this maybe was manufactured in October of 1980. And yeah, so far so good. We pull the keys out, we'll head to the back and maybe grab the tripod. Come on. There we go. We'll see what's going on in the rear of the cabinet. Okay. And if that key worked on one side, I imagine this one goes on the back. Yep. Back door's off, really nothing going on. Back here, it's funny that this little cleat piece looks like it's white laminate or melamine or something. We've got the classic Sega Gremlin sort of bracket here meant to engage the interlock in the back of the cabinet. And we'll take off the upper back door too, which is mounted with a number of screws. Upper back door's got nothing on the inside. Okay. And let's see what we have in here. That might be a little bit dark, so why don't we step into the light, turn the cabinet around, and should be able to see a little bit better. Yeah, I can see the cardboard bezels just slipped off of its position there. And we've got a board down at the bottom, game PCB. I'm assuming that is the soundboard, and this is the power supply. We've got two big transformers. We've got our interlock and fuse box. Yeah, and this is a, it says G07907. Huh. Is that different from a G07 CBO? It's filthy. There's tons of dust and grime back there. We've got some wires hacked up down here. Yeah, I'm just taking a look at this for the first time really closely. Yeah, it says G07907. And it's manufactured September 13th, 1980. That's interesting. I don't know if that's different from a normal G07. There's a power cord and some stickers that have fallen down. I'm edging. This came off of the monitor. There's probably some more stuff down there that we will retrieve eventually. And what I kind of want to do is just turn this thing on and see what we get. We do have a grounded power plug. I'm guessing maybe the plug was probably changed at some point. It is grounded. I will want to replace it. The wire, the cable looks nearly perfect, which is quite rare for classic arcade games. They're usually frayed to heck, and this one is not. Okay. Yeah, G07907. Let me actually look that up real quick and see if that's anything noteworthy. Okay, so it turns out it's just a plain old vanilla G07 CBO. There is a sticker here that says CBO, but it was really kind of hard to see until I contorted myself to stick my head into the cabinet. So along with some wires that look like they've been cut over here, and I don't know what's going on with that, and some that are cut and kind of a mess. I also see that we've had like an electrical tape splice here, and this orange wire, which is tied into ground, goes actually to the the coin counter of all things in the front here. And so that's a bit strange to me, but whatever. So before I go ahead and turn it on, I want to just check some fuses real quick. So got my multimeter, we'll set it to continuity. This feels weird. There we go. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I dropped it. I hope it didn't break it. This is the main fuse of the cabinet. Looks a little gross. But testing fine. So we'll put that back in. Okay. Got our interlock switch. I don't know if there's any other fuses other than maybe the monitor that we can check. First one is good. Second one is kind of hard to get to. Okay, I think, look how filthy. Look at that. Disgusting. So I think I'm touching that fuse and I think it's blown. I'm not 100% sure because I wasn't really quite sure if I was making contact. Let me see if I can get the flashlight in a position that will allow me to see more closely. There we go. I have to wash my hands before I do anything else. And hopefully I didn't just smash the board. Come on, Charlie. Okay, yeah, I think the smaller fuse F901 is blown, and my hands are filthy, so I'm going to go wash them real quick before we proceed. Okay, nice clean hands again, and like I said, I believe that fuse is blown, but it's entirely possible that it's just too coated with grime that my multimeter can't test it. So let's take a look and see what's going inside the junction box. And again, this has the fuse and the interlock switch, and some of these will have like a distribution block, but this does not. It just has a line filter, so that's fine. We'll put this back on, and I wonder if there are any good places to test the 5 volts being produced by the power supply, just to make sure that we've got a good clean 5 volts going to the board. And I think this is just the only power input to the board, although I could be wrong, because what's this? That goes maybe to the monitor. No, I'm not sure where that goes. Maybe to the marquee light. Let's take a look here. Well, you know how they say nothing's ever easy? Oh, well, I'm glad I did not turn this thing on with the PCB hooked up to the power supply. I did look up the game manual, and it even quasi-helpfully says to, you know, where to test the output voltages. Basically, you remove the power output connectors from the linear power supply, and you check on a bunch of different spots. And I am not getting what I'm supposed to be getting. So let me actually turn the game on. The marquee light, well, it was working before. So I've got my multimeter set to DC volts, and this is supposed to be 5 volts. And I'm getting almost 26 volts. And all along the other places where I'm supposed to get, you know, -12, +12, whatever, or, you know, -5, it's almost 26 volts. But the marquee light's on, so I'm not entirely sure what to make of that. I know Peter sells from arcadepartsandrepair.com sells a cap kit for these. Apparently they also have cold solder problems, and maybe even, yeah, I'm just looking at it, maybe even the voltage regulators could be bad. So I'm going to pull this out, take a look at it, and do a bunch more research before proceeding. All right, guys, I'm a bonehead. I figured out what I did wrong. So the manual says to remove all of the output connections, the output headers on the power supply, which are these three over here. And I unplugged this one over here, which basically meant that half the power supply was disconnected from itself, right? So these wires here go over to the transformer, and I think those are filter caps over there, and the bridge rectifier. I'm not entirely sure how any voltage was getting over to this side of the board, which is strange to me. But if we go ahead and turn it on now with those connectors plugged in, so we just have this 10-pin connector disconnected and these two, I think, 4-pin connectors disconnected over here. We'll turn the game on. And again, I don't have the game board plugged in. I've got my multimeter on DC volts, and I can come in here and here we go, 5.05. 5.05, those are voltages we are expecting to see. -5, and come back over here. Here's our -12. Here's our +12. If we turn to AC, we can see our AC voltage is between 2 and 3. So I'm happy with that. I think we've got good voltages being produced by the power supply. So yeah. I mean, in my defense, it didn't say, you know, what these connectors were. It said just, you know, disconnect those connectors. So that's what I did, and I removed too many. So let me get this so that the power cord doesn't get caught up on that. And we'll come back over here. All right. Okay, so now the game PCB is plugged back in. That doesn't look right. Is that right? Okay. Everything's plugged back in, so let's fire it up. I'm not expecting the monitor to work. Like I said, you know, I think that one of those fuses is blown. So here we go, 3, 2, 1. I heard a sound. There was a LED on the game board that's not lit, but I'm hearing sounds. So let's come around to the front of the cabinet here. All right, nothing going on the screen. We do have the marquee is lit. You can't quite see it. Can you hear? Sounds like it's playing sounds in a track mode. Yeah, definitely. Let me try coining up. Okay, we got something. Can we start a game? Oh boy! We have the game playing blind. Oh, I got points. It's way too loud though. Let me turn it down over here. Here we go. Yeah. Well, the game's playing blind, which is great. So we've got a working power supply, we've got a working game PCB, we've got a working soundboard, but we don't have a working monitor. So yeah, let me take a look at the flow chart real quick, and I'll come back with what the next steps are going to look like to get this monitor working. But we're making progress. Okay, I've got the chassis out of the monitor, out of the cabinet, and onto the workbench. And like I mentioned earlier, you can barely see it, but yeah, it does say G07 CBO on the side of the chassis. And this thing is absolutely filthy. Look at that crud on the anode wire. I'm gonna have to clean this chassis for sure. An interesting thing I discovered is that fuse is not blown. It was just dirty, and yeah, I was able to get a good solid reading from it out of the cabinet, and sure enough, it is not blown. That fuse is fine. So I'm gonna have to do some more investigating. We'll actually need to put this back into the monitor, stick it back in the cabinet, and test the B plus voltage to know really what's going on. I'll have to, I'm probably gonna clean it off, honestly, before I stick it back in the cabinet. And just because I want to see if this game PCB is really working, I've got my little 13-inch K7000 test monitor set up. I've got it plugged in to the video signal coming out of the cabinet, and that wire is so short, that video wire is so short that I had to put it on this little folding chair and get it really, really close to the cabinet. And I've got the monitor hooked up to my little homemade monitor test bench power supply with a isolation transformer from arcadepartsandrepair.com, a little prototype I put together. I'm building another one for a buddy of mine, and I'll post the plans for this eventually. But I want to power up this bad boy and see if we see Carnival playing on the monitor. So let me go ahead and turn this thing on. Power switch right there. I heard the HV come on for the monitor, and all I need to do now is pull the interlock switch for the cabinet, and I saw something immediately on the screen, and look at that. Oh wow, look at that. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? All right, and I just changed the shutter speed so that you're getting a real nice picture here without it rolling. And yeah, beautiful, beautiful image on this monitor. That looks fantastic. So we've got a working Carnival PCB and cabinet, and all I need to do is figure out what's going on with this G07 chassis, and we'll be back in business. Okay, I've got the chassis back in the monitor, reconnected. All of the different wires and everything are connected back up. I also crimped on some proper Molex connectors for the power coming from the isolation transformer, just so that I don't have to mess with wire nuts every time I want to, plug the monitor back in. So, we discovered that turns out that both of those fuses on the chassis are actually good. So I printed out a G07 flowchart from the Geek Pub. I think this is an updated version of Randy Fromm's. So we'll just sort of go through the steps here. Start here, blank screen, yep. Is F901 blown? Nope. Is F902 blown? Nope. So we're down here. It says check the regulated power supply at resistor R1, which is the 220 ohm, 25 watt large white ceramic hanging on the side of the chassis, which is right there. Basically, we're going to be checking the B plus voltage. And it says the terminal closest to the CRT, the white wire, should measure 120 volts DC. So I've got my probe from my multimeter clipped on to that end, and the other end of the multimeter is clipped onto the chassis frame. So what we're looking for here is 120 volts DC down there on the multimeter. So let's pull the interlock switch, turn it on. We hear the game booting. And we've got 0 volts on the multimeter. So our only options are OK, high, or low. So we'll go down to low, and it says check the voltage at the opposite end of R1. You should find 145 volts DC. So we'll quickly turn the game off. We'll move our multimeter probe to the other end of R1, and we'll power it back up. And we've still got 0 volts. So we look down here, instead of 145 volts, we don't have 145, we don't have low, we have 0. It says check R902, which may be open, check for PCB cracks and cold solder joints in the area. So I think we're at the same point where we were with the G07 from the Pango, which is also a Sega Gremlin game. So I'll turn the cabinet off. So yeah, let me pull the chassis back out of the monitor. I'll discharge the anode and all that stuff. We'll get it back on the bench and take a look at, what is that? R902 there in a second. All right, I've got the chassis back out of the monitor and on the workbench. I've got it flipped over because I think working from the solder side will actually be a little bit easier to see what's going on. So just double checking the fuses. I see we've got our F902 down here. and that one's fine. And then we've got F901 over here, and that's fine. So yeah, both fuses are still okay. And again, looking at where we are in the flow chart, it says 0 volts DC from the B+. Check R902, which may be open, then check for PCB cracks and cold solder. So R902 is right over here, and we'll see if it's open. I think it's supposed to be 2 volts, or 2 ohms, and if you can see the multimeter down there, we are getting about 2.2 ohms. Putting it on continuity beep, you know, we are going to get that. It's going to say there's continuity just because the resistance is so low. But again, it is supposed to be 2 ohms. So put that right there, and we're getting, oops, hang on. Yeah, 2.3. I was getting 2 or 2.2 before. 2.3, 2.2, 2.3. So I'm not worried about that. However, there is something I am worried about, and perhaps you can see it already. If not, I will zoom in just a little bit closer. Here is, if it will focus, the underside of the flyback here. And do you see all those cold solder joints? Let's see if I can zoom in like this. Yeah, look at that. Do you see all these cold solder joints? Where's my finger? On the flyback? All those pins on the flyback have cold solder. So what I'm going to do is reflow this real quick. So I'm going to remove the old solder, put new fresh solder on, and then we will test this chassis again. Okay, I've reflowed all the cold solder joints, or really all the joints on the flyback, and I forgot to reconnect the power. That would have been silly. Okay, so everything's reconnected. Anode wire, the grounding strap to the tube, the gauze circuit, the yoke wires, and the neck board is reattached. And I've got my multimeter probes clicked back onto, is that R1, right? To test the B+, plugging the game back in, crossing my fingers, and where's my flow chart? We are expecting to see 120 volts on R1 on the multimeter. So here we go, 3, 2, 1. Nothing. Now power is connected. Let me try the other side. I was hoping there that we would have fixed it with just that. Nothing. 0 volts. And I'm getting power to the monitor, right? Let me test the power plug. All right, put my probes in here. This should be, you know, 120 or so AC. Switch it to AC, turn it on. 118.5, that should be fine. Yeah, and I can hear the game playing blind. This is so strange to me. So the only thing I can think at this point, and I'm just going to do it one more time just because it's how my brain works. I mean, I've got an order from Arcade Parts and Repair on the way for a cap kit and flyback, a new flyback, reproduction flyback. There we go. Yeah, 0 volts. This monitor is just dead, dead, dead. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to wash this chassis. I am going to install a cap kit. I'll replace the flyback. At that point, you know, I've tested the voltage regulator, and it's not shorted. I haven't done the diode test, but it's not shorted to the frame. So, and I can test the diodes and the bridge rectifier that's on the chassis. But yeah, next step, wash it, cap kit, new flyback, and we'll see where we are at that point. Okay, one quick thing that I did before washing the chassis that I wish I caught on camera was discharge C904, which is the large capacitor, the largest capacitor on the G07 chassis. And this one can hold a charge and it'll bite you if you're not careful, so it's recommended to discharge it. And to do that, I just used my monitor discharge tool that I usually use to discharge the anode of a monitor. And basically you just use the business end of the screwdriver to short the two leads coming out of the bottom of the C904 capacitor on the solder side. And look at that. Look at that. I'm glad those two bite marks aren't on my skin and are on that screwdriver, but man, it let out one wallop of a pop. Big spark, you know, sort of surprised me how big it was, and I gave it a minute or so and discharged it again. It had still a little bit of spark there, but yeah, so just for safety, make sure when you're working on a G07 chassis that you discharge that large capacitor C904. So I don't know what that means. You know, usually if I forget which fuse, the smaller one, I think, if that fuse is blown, then usually that capacitor is holding a charge. So maybe something funky is going on with that fuse. We'll take a look at it, probably replace it while we have the chassis out. And this could also be the sign of a bad flyback, which is sort of what I'm figuring at this point. And I was hoping that reflowing the solder joints for the flyback would fix it, but sure enough, no. But wow, good thing I didn't get bit by that. So stay tuned. Okay guys, I'm installing the cap kit for the G07 chassis and things are going well so far, but there's a couple of things that I wanted to point out that are kind of interesting. So the first thing, and this is kind of notorious for G07 chassis, is there's a silkscreen printing error. So this is C302 right here, this capacitor C302, and yeah, I know it's sort of upside down right now, but if you can see this green dot that indicates polarity, basically saying that this left leg, sort of left in terms of what we're looking at, this left leg is the negative leg or the negative lead of the capacitor. So it's saying when you install the capacitor, the left or the negative lead should be on the left side. And sure enough, here is the capacitor that I removed, and it was in like that. So the negative lead was on the left-hand side as it's supposed to be. But if we roll it over and look at it on the opposite side, if we can get that to if we can get that into position, C302 right there, it says that the left leg is positive. You see in the silk screen over here, that positive is saying the left side should be positive over here, and this is wrong. So the top or the part side of the chassis silk screen is correct with negative being on the left, but on the parts or the solder side, excuse me, the bottom of the chassis, this silk screen is wrong. So this is a very, very important thing to point out. You don't want to put a capacitor in backwards because it's liable to explode and it certainly won't work right. Unfortunately, Peter's directions for the arcadepartsandrepair.com cap kit that I have do indicate that to be very, very careful about how you're installing capacitor C302. Follow the silk screen printing on the top and not on the bottom, and you'll be in good shape. Also, one more thing I wanted to point out is actually on the neck board. So on the neck board, we have a single capacitor, that's C107 right there. You can see I've already installed it. When I took the old one out, this is what I found. That leg had come totally off and it was totally broken. So there was just one leg connecting to the neck board. So I don't know if that was necessarily our problem, but it's definitely not right. So I fixed that and I'll continue with the cap kit. And again, I'll stop and show you anything interesting that might pop up. Okay, one more quick thing that always trips me up with the G07 and is something that I always have to look up is Peter's kit from Arcade Parts and Repair has you replace the capacitor that's originally installed at C303, which is this chiclet looking thing over here, with a normal electrolytic capacitor, which is polarized, but neither the solder side nor the part side on the G07 chassis tells you which polarity uh, is correct for C303. And this is always something that I have to look up, and just so you know, you want the negative leg to go towards the inside of the chassis. You know, C303 is sort of towards the edge. You want that negative leg to be on the inside, pointing towards the middle. All right, I think we're all set. Installed the full cap kit, new flyback. I replaced both of the fuses as well. After all, it did turn out that fuse 901 was blown. I could actually even see it, that it was visibly blown, which is not always the case. So I went ahead and replaced that. And the original fuses in the G07 are these pigtail fuses. They look like this. They're sort of, they've got these little legs or leads, you know, attached to the ends of the fuse, and those solder directly onto the chassis. And that's kind of a pain in the butt to, you know, remove them and install new ones if you keep blowing them. So I went ahead and replaced those pigtails with these clips. I soldered these clips onto the chassis for both F901 and F902, and installed new fuses of the correct rating into those clips, so that'll be easy to change if I keep blowing those fuses. The other thing that I ran into, the other problem that I saw kind of in this section here, which is pretty typical for it to have seen a lot of heat and be scorched up, FR401 was really burnt up. That's this right here. That's a fusible resistor, this sort of ceramic wire wound resistor. And one of the legs was like really corroded and basically fell off when I went to remove it. So I've replaced it with a new one, which is a slightly different form factor, but basically the same thing. So I think I'm ready to install this back into the monitor, fire it up, and see what we got. Okay, the chassis is reinstalled in the monitor in the cabinet, and I think we're ready to fire it up. I've got my multimeter connected to measure the B+, and we are hoping to see something other than 0 down here on the multimeter. We are expecting to see 120 volts DC, so we're plugged in, ready to go. I'm just going to pull the interlock switch. Look at that. I think we did it. B plus is 119.6. I'm not going to mess with that. I heard the HV buzz go. Let me see if I can see net glow. Can't quite tell. Let me turn the lights off. Can you see it? I gotta come all the way back here. Oh yeah, we've got net glow. We may have fixed this thing. Oh boy, you know, and by shotgunning it the way we did, we aren't really going to know. There's nothing really on the monitor. That's fine because we don't have a video signal. But yeah, let me set up the tripod. We'll plug in the video signal and see if we get Carnival playing on this monitor. All right, we're all put back together. The monitor has the video signal cable plugged back in. Everything's ready to go, and I hope we're ready to test this thing out and hopefully get the picture from the game running on that G07 monitor that we just rebuilt. So a couple of things that I did off camera. I did wipe down the entire cabinet, the outside of it, with Simple Green. I also used Novus 1 on the inside and outside of the plexi bezel. I also used Sprayway foaming glass cleaner to clean the face of the tube, the monitor tube. So I think we should be in good shape. I'm just trying to think if there's anything, last things that we might need to do. You know, we might need to, you know, make some adjustments to the color and geometry of the monitor. So I still have the lower back door off of the monitor to allow me to access that and do it. I'm trying to think. Oh, and I've got this this new thing that Dell from DeLuSioNaL's Arcade has put together. It's basically a mirror with an articulating arm and a clamp. So, you know, while you're working around the back of a cabinet, you can sort of, you know, hands-free see what's going on the screen as you're adjusting the color and the geometry, rather than trying to prop up like a big mirror over here, or ask somebody to give you a hand or try to reach with one hand with a mirror or whatever. So nice little thing that Del put together. He was so kind as to gift me one, and it's got a cool sort of metallic Del's Arcade, DeLuSioNaL's Arcade sticker on it. And yeah, I think we're ready. So cross your fingers, we're plugged in. I'm just gonna pull the interlock switch. And that sound is what the machine makes when it boots up. Cross your fingers. And nothing? Nothing. What is going on? I can hear the game playing. But we've got nothing on the screen. What the heck is going on? Okay, that had me scared there for a minute, but everything's fine. As you can see, we've got Carnival playing on the monitor. Everything's good. So when it didn't come on and I wasn't getting any net glow, I checked the B+ and it was 0 again. And I'm just, what the heck is going on? So I tested things and turned out that this time fuse F902 was blown, and I have no idea why. Per the flow chart, it could be the DeGauss coil, could be the rectifier diodes, the bridge rectifier diodes, but if those weren't working, this wouldn't be working. So I don't know if I've got some sort of, borderline short in the DeGauss coil or the DeGauss circuit or what, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. I popped a new fuse in, which I was able to do relatively easily because, again, I replaced the original pigtail fuse with, clip fuse holders, fuse clips. So, yeah, I think we're in pretty good shape here. We've got all of our colors. We've got red, we've got blue, we've got green. There isn't much green in this game. It's just on the pipes up there at the top. And I think the geometry looks pretty good. We could probably maybe adjust the focus just a tad. So let me come back here and find the right knob on the flyback to adjust the focus. Okay, and that's the top one. So let me look in the Del's Arcade mirror. How's that? That looks real sharp. Look at that. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so I think we might be ready to coin up and play a game. So there are coin mechs in here, and that's, those coin switches, credit switches are what I was using to, manually toggling them to coin up the game before when it was playing blind. And actually I found, it's kind of cool, some tokens in the bottom of the cabinet here. This one says Family Amusement Center has a clown. These two have sort of like a shield and an eagle, and they say freedom on them, these two that are corroded. So that's kind of cool. I'm imagining that those came from the arcade that this machine was originally operated in. Yeah, so let's pop in a quarter here, see what happens. Nothing yet. All right, these coin mechs are dirty. They're rejecting, well, coins are getting stuck and being rejected, so we'll have to coin up manually. Something to look at later is cleaning or adjusting those coin switches. Coin mechs. Let's put two credits on. Here we go, 2 credits right here. So let me come in a bit closer here, and we'll turn off the lights before we start a game. But Carnival is a relatively simple game, but it is, quite a lot of fun. So basically, the premise of the game is it's like a shooting gallery from a carnival or like a state fair, right? And you have no lives. There are no lives. You keep playing until you run out of ammunition at the bottom down here. So you're this little blue gun. Your only controls are down here. You can move left and right to move the position of that gun. Looks like a pistol, and you have a fire button right here. And those are your only inputs, your only controls. And basically, you're trying to knock out all the targets that show up on the screen. So you have, you know, there are ducks, and there are owls, and there are rabbits that kind of move back and forth, and you're trying to shoot them. You hit them, you earn points. There's also these spinning pipes up at the top, and there's kind of a fence that sort of blocks it off, so you only have a very narrow aim point to be able to hit the pipes around the side, and you get points for that. And I think the longer you wait to hit the pipes, the less that they're worth. So if you can hit them very early, you get more points, but it's hard because there's a lot of targets in the way, that sort of thing. The ducks can fly down and attack you. They don't hurt you, they eat your bullets. They eat up your bullets. And again, when you run out of ammo, that's when your game is over. Once you clear the stage, you'll go to a bonus round, and you know, Carnival was released by Sega Gremlin in 1980 and is one of the earliest video games, arcade video games, that had a bonus round. And we'll see that there's a bear that moves back and forth, and you're almost trying to juggle it with your shots. And then you get to the next round and rinse and repeat. I think things get faster, things get harder the farther along that you go. Other types of targets, there are little squares that says right here that say 5 and 10. That's how you add bullets, okay? You add ammunition. You'll also see on the right-hand side, there's a little square with a musical note. That's how you can turn on and off the music. It plays a sort of, you know, classic, you know, circus or carnival song, Over the Waves. The player can turn off that music in a game by shooting that music note. Like I said, the ducks will dive bomb you. There's also this sort of box that opens up over here on the left-hand side underneath the high score table, which is persistent. And sometimes it is a box that gives you, hitting it gives you a bonus or adds ammunition, but it can also subtract ammunition, so you don't just want to fire at it willy-nilly. There's also letters that spell bonus, B-O-N-U-S, that will show up, and if you hit those in order, you will get bonus points for that. But if you hit them out of order, you don't get the bonus. And I think the longer you wait to hit those, the greater that bonus is worth. So yeah, I think those are the basics. It also says if you hit the same color pipes with 2 consecutive shots, you'll score 4 times the point value. So yeah, the game is over when you run out of bullets. And that looks like everything. So why don't we turn off the house lights so that you can see this really well. And you know, one of the things that's kind of neat with this and unique with this game is the marquee light sort of comes down and illuminates that cardboard bezel. So you can see the light up here. That's coming from the marquee down and around and illuminating part of the bezel, which is sort of neat. So yeah, why don't we go ahead and start a game, and you'll see how Carnival works. All right, here are... All right. Here we go, I hit B. Here we got a duck here. All right, let me get that. Oh, I hit the N. I don't get bonus points. I got a 5 to add more. Don't want to hit. I guess you can get negative points too from that. You can get negative points from that box as well on the left-hand side. And let me show you how to turn the music off. Turn it off. Turn it back on. Isn't that cool? Got 10 more bullets. There we go. Got some more bonus bullets. And you got to hit all the targets and the pipes in order to clear the level. So I think if I hit this duck, there we go. and I get 50 extra points for every round of unused ammunition. And now we have the bonus round with the bear. And I'm going to wait for him to come to the middle. And we kind of juggle him. There we go, back and forth. And now we have a new round, and things are a little bit harder. You know, more ducks coming at you. Oh, there we go. The duck is eating up 10 rounds of my ammo, my precious ammo. There we go, B. Where's the O? There we go, 10 more rounds. Did I screw things up with the bonus already? Looks like it. We're getting low. I'm going to try to get some more ammo. There we go. We're getting low. We go 5 more. The game does get pretty difficult rather quickly. Got 2 rounds left. I really want to find something that'll give me more ammo here, otherwise I'll be out of luck and out of time. Come on. Oh, I gotta. Oof. Ooh, it's tricky. 1 shot left and I don't see more ammo coming. I think I'm SOL here. Here we go. That's it. 5,340 points, and I will enter my initials. There we go. And there I am. And I don't know what that box is sort of around the 3rd initial there. Could be some sort of glitch or something. Let's play one more game. See if I can do a little bit better. All right. There's the B. I don't want to shoot now because behind that target is... There's the O. There's the N. Oh. U. And... There we go. I got the bonus. There we go. Okay, now focus on... There we go, 10 more rounds. I think you can only have 1 shot on the screen at a time. There we go. Doing okay here. Running low again. Oop, just in time. Okay. Oh, I ran out. Well, that's not what I expect. I kind of wasn't paying attention to my ammo there, I guess. And I went past my intended initial entry. And this doesn't save the high score, so when you turn the game off, it loses the high score. But I think, I think we've succeeded with our task here. So I was hoping to be able to fix this cabinet, fix this game in just one episode, and I think we've achieved it, right? So we got a great deal on this Carnival, wasn't working, $100, cabinet was in real nice shape, and really what it was the monitor needed to be rebuilt. I think ultimately it was the flyback that had gone, and you know, just a little bit of work and a couple of parts, and we were back in action. And what a cool game, what a fun game. My kids have been begging to play this ever since they saw me bring it home, and I think this will be a fun one for them to enjoy for years. And yeah, we'll just keep an eye on that that F902 fuse, and hopefully we don't keep blowing it. But yeah, I just want to say thanks for all the great feedback and everyone who's watching and sharing and liking and commenting. That really means so much to me. You know, I having a lot of fun doing these videos, and I really appreciate that you're enjoying watching them too, which is great. Also want to thank all of the awesome Overtime Arcade channel members who are paying $1.99 a month for early access to these videos. They get to access the members-only Discord. We're going to do a members-only live stream coming up real soon. I also need to do the 1,000 subscribers thank you live stream that I've been talking about for a while now. But yeah, really appreciate everyone's support. This has been a lot of fun. So I'm tired. I'm going to wrap it up here. As always, I'm Charlie. Thanks for watching Overtime Arcade, and I'll see you next time.
Overtime!